Good morning, everyone, and happy Sunday. I'm Reverend Charlotte McGinnis, and welcome to my Soulful Conversations. Well, I am here. This is the first time I've actually launched this new way of presenting myself on Sunday. So if I seem a little all over the place, it's probably because I am. But anyway, I've got the feedback option. So if you want to type in and Don, good morning, let me know you're here, interact. I'm always excited to see people pop in and share their comments, questions. So as I think right now, I am actually live on Facebook.com, which is my minister's page, Reverend Charlotte McGinnis. I've been actually presenting on my private page for the past few years, but I've moved over. So hopefully you guys will find me. I'm also, as far as I know, I should be up right now on YouTube. My YouTube channel is youtube.com Inspire You TV, INSPIREYOU TV. So if you could subscribe to that channel, join me there. I should be live, I think, as well there. And my website is not quite finished. There were a couple glitches with the transition, but next week you can actually go to my website and watch me live from there. So I've got lots of options. This is exciting for me and very excited about the new website, all the possibilities that it brings with it, and will enable me to not only do my Sunday Soulful Conversations, but in a larger audience, tap into a larger audience. And then I'm going to also be doing Soulful Conversations, which are real conversations with real people. I'm not necessarily going after the big names. Those people thankfully get out there a lot. Everybody wants to hear from this person and that person, and so as a result, anyone doing interviews is going to try to get them on their show. Understandably, I used to have radio shows online and both at the studios, and certainly our goal was to get those big names. But what I've come to find is there are people that aren't so well known that have a big, strong message, big heart, and I want to hear what they have to say. I want us to get to learn more about just people, everybody, real people, real conversations. And what you come to find is everybody is a light, everybody has a message, and it's very, very exciting. Well, those are going to be coming up on my website once I launch it. I'll have the schedule of who I have speaking coming up, and we're going to have some fun here. So today is a little bit of a trial run, and I apologize for anything that may get in our way, but thanks for tuning in and being patient with me. Okay, so just a reminder, you can always ask for prayers through the ADL Ministry, Alliance of Divine Love. That too will be on my website available. You can click right through, request prayers, and we'd love to pray with you and for you. So please use it. We're thrilled to be able to offer that to you. So I want to move on and thank you all for being here. And if you don't mind to pass this along, let's just get that ripple effect going, share the good news, and have some fun with this Soulful Conversation ministry. Okie doke. Well, last week, you all probably realized, maybe not, I didn't have a Sunday Soulful Conversation because I was actually traveling. And where I went was to my niece, Laura's house. She lives in Kentucky, northern Kentucky, and I drove there. And on my way there, we were actually there celebrating my brother Kip's 70th birthday. Hard to believe that we're all edging up that way, right? But anyway, on my way there, I actually saw a sign for the Ark encounter, the Noah's Ark display. Display's way understatement. And something in me said, I want to see that. So I knew I didn't have time as I was driving there, but I said, on my way back home to Flat Rock, I'm going to stop and see that Ark, by golly. So on the way, I tried to grab up some friends, well, actually my family, to go with me, but they couldn't do it this time. But on the way back, I said, I'm going in, and I did, and I drove into the entrance. It's like 4:00. So I had no idea what I was going for, but I had made the drive in, and all of a sudden it's a huge deal. I had no idea. And anyway, there's $15 parking. I got the senior rate, which was, I think, high 50s. And anyway, I'm like, well, we'll see what this is about. Then you get on a bus and it takes you to the Ark and to everything that is with that. This is a theme park for Christians, I think is how they describe themselves. Well, I have to say that when I first saw that Ark, I was a bit taken back. It was, I literally, it was sort of like seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time. I sort of just had to gasp here because the Ark that they have built is a replica of Noah's Ark. And they've taken the dimensions from the Bible to get this, to create this. And it's extremely, hugely amazing and impressive. Not only is there the Ark there, which I did my best to get through and as much as I could, it's 550 feet long, 3 stories high and 85 feet wide. So it's big. And there's people there from all over the world and they're excited to be there. And I can understand why. So anyway, it got me thinking because I did, they have lots of other attractions. They have a zoo, they have zip line, they have a virtual reality option. And then they also have a movie theater, a huge theater. I bet it seats at least 2,000 people. And so you can watch films about the Ark and the history of the Bible. And I watched a couple of them. And a couple of things that stuck with me is the devotion and the commitment of these folks to bring this Ark into being, to bring this whole encounter into being. It's way more than just the Ark. It's a whole experience. And anyway, they go on to say that they raised $100 million privately to put this together, which was in itself very impressive. So I was thinking, wow, all those people came together and they believe so strongly in this that they made it happen. So that in itself got my attention. It's like, wow, that's a dream come true. So how did that happen? Well, their belief, their faith, and they're wanting to share their message with the world. Well, I want to say that this is actually prior to the Ark being put, this Ark encounter being put into place. They have a creation museum that was built, I'm not sure what year, but it's all about the creation versus evolution. And so I've always been more evolutionary minded, I will say that, but certainly I was intrigued, to say the least, that I said, I'm going to see what makes these people think, what makes them believe so strongly in wanting to share this theory of creationism. How do they think that way? I mean, my belief is, and through my education and programming, evolution makes perfect sense to me, but doesn't to them. So I certainly am on that journey, not saying I'm going to jump on to be a creationist by any means, but I want to understand how other people think. Well, that's just one of many examples that I think I have a very curious mind. I've always been a seeker of truth. I want to understand how people think, what makes people think that the way they do, and find a way that we can come together in unity instead of saying, if you don't think like I do, then you're wrong. And not only that, you're bad. And based on how far you want to take it, it can go further and further into, well, you're going to heaven and you're going to hell. Let's just say that. And that's not only in creation versus evolution, but also just many ways we express ourselves and the way we see things. It's almost like we have to have that assurance and that saying, I am right, to make us feel okay about the way we believe. Well, this got me thinking. I know a lot of you guys have heard me speak over the past couple of years, and I've often been intrigued. I was intrigued a couple of years ago when I will just say it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. When President Trump was elected president, I was shocked. I don't think I was happy about it. I didn't understand it. And how could people vote for him and like him and think he's doing a good thing? but I didn't give it too much meaning, and I really chose to just bless him and love him and not condemn and not be so, use my spiritual tools just to say, okay, I can stay neutral here and I can love all things. And why am I choosing to judge? But that led me a little further down the rabbit hole to exploring about his message and what he came here and what that whole movement is about. And so I certainly spent a lot of time digging through videos and articles and all things Donald Trump and all things political and how we are so divided. Well, I also did that same rabbit hole with the corona virus and the extreme thoughts on that. There is a divide of those who think one way and those who think another way. Some people feel it's sinister and it was made in a lab and it's bio warfare and then don't get the shot, don't do that. And, there's so many. And then there's people that, not only get the shot, but get all the boosters and wear your masks and trust, just be sheeple, follow the guidance. And I'm not here to tell anyone to be for Trump or not for Trump, where you should stand politically. I'm not here to, by any means, say creationism versus evolution. And I'm not here to say do the booster and the vaccines or not. I'm just curious, and I want to share what I find with you, but on a deeper level, it's not even about what I've come to in my own conclusions. This conversation today is really about going deeper into the whole idea of critical thinking. And critical thinking has been something that's been on my mind for a while, because I realize now that my curiosity is because I am a critical thinker, and where maybe I was willing to just follow the status quo, be programmed. My parents thought a certain way. I grew up in a certain religious tradition. I went through my education, public school education. I had my golf years of experience, and that's certainly a program within itself. I've had my spiritual centers and religious experiences. Those are other programs. So I'm really realizing how, and I talk about this a lot, how we're really operating from our past, from our programs. And I think that if we're doing that, we're really limiting ourselves, and we're not making ourselves open to the bigger possibility. In other words, when I see someone like Einstein or Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, people who have Eleanor Roosevelt, I've been watching The First Ladies, which is an excellent series on Showtime. If you're interested, give them a plug. But those who are great thinkers and think outside the box and push the envelope, and they're really not caring one bit what other people think. They're really opening up to a higher mind and a higher purpose. And again, it's not about agreeing with them or disagreeing, but they've opened themselves up to question and to be open to bigger things. Einstein, I believe, Tesla, I can go on and on and on, sort of the thoughts I'm thinking here, maybe. But anyway, they were really tapped into the universal mind, the mind of God, the unlimited mind of all that is. But to be open to that, we have to be willing to let go of our thoughts about this or that, anything that divides us and separates us and keeps us engaged in judgment, and just really say, okay, I'm open to learn. I'm not going to take what you tell me. And I'm certainly not here to impose anything on you. I'm just sharing my discoveries, my thoughts, my ideas. But really my purpose of my ministry and my messages is to lead you back to your heart, to lead you to peace, to awaken that divine light within each and every one of you. And I do believe there's many paths and many ways that we get there. In the Course in Miracles, it says, although a universal theology is impossible, a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. So we're all finding our way home, and we all get there different ways. And there's not a better way or a more spiritual way necessarily. You know, we get into this, we have to, oh, but my way is the only way, and I'm right, and I'm more spiritual than that. People may have more awareness, but at the core, we're all the same. And we're all divine beings of light, of God. We're here to remember who we are. And so anytime I'm holding a judgment or a grievance or take a strong stance, and it doesn't mean we don't take a position. I'm not saying that at all. If you are a believer in evolution or creation, or you are strongly an advocate for one way of experiencing this COVID experience, and if you are a liberal or a conservative, and that's through your thinking, through your heart, if that's what you align with, then that's a wonderful thing. But it's also, I think, important to recognize that it's your path, your journey. And you're going to see that some of these conversations that I offer in the future, these interviews, I'm going to have people from all belief systems and thought systems and healing systems. And so I'm not here to just try to impose any message. I'm here to provoke you to inspire you to think, inspire enlightened living, like, I never thought about that before. And to find your truth, your path back home to the truth of who you are, which is a divine being of light. So there's lots of really fun things that I'm looking forward to sharing with you soon. As soon as this website is up, I will be starting these soulful conversations. But on back to critical thinking, I want to share a few thoughts with you about critical thinking. And number one is, as I said, why do we have to cling so strongly to our beliefs and our opinions? Well, I think it's because we're fearful. And if anytime anybody doesn't think like us, somewhere it's a threat. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter. Really wouldn't matter what other people thought, what other people thought about us, what other people thought about anything. And of course, people say, well, I'm doing this because I love people. Okay, let's just use the latest and greatest tragedy. And it is a tragedy. Of course, all these mass shootings are awful, and they're tragic, and they're sad. And yes, we need to inspire change. Okay. So perfect opportunity. There's one side that believes adamantly that this is the way to fix it. And there's another side that believes this is the way we fix it. And then there's everything else in between. I don't have the answers, but I do know if we are willing to lay our judgments aside, do some deep thinking, soulful thinking, and say, you know what, above all else, I want the outcome to be peace and unity. I have no agenda here. I do think this is my opinion, okay, I do think that lobbyists are an obstacle for us to be able to get in these issues, to find the truth and the highest resolution, because they have an agenda. They make a lot of money. They're pushing through maybe something they want to see move forward. So I think if we could get back, and I'm a great optimist, okay? I think that if we could get back to the purity of the heart and start to not be so threatened by each other, because when if I defend myself or attack another, what am I doing? I'm making that more real. So I don't have to agree and even like what someone else says, but I can use my power in blessing that and being open to the greater degree of love, rather than saying, ooh, that person's awful, I don't like them. Because if you really go back, it's all about division. And there are lots of layers to this, which is not where my conversation is going today, but it will another time. So what does critical thinking mean? Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively or skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered by or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to belief and action. So it's just, not just saying, oh, I just accept what you tell me. Do you think for yourself, do your own seeking, do your own searching. We've been doing the online class, the 4 agreements, which was really powerful. Reverend Peg and I did that, and it was a great experience. We went through each of the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz, his book, which is simple and powerful, as I've said for the past several weeks. But one of the lessons is, or agreements is, don't make assumptions. And I find that out of all the agreements, all 4 I agree with wholeheartedly, and I believe in those. But the assumptions is really, I think I know what another person's thinking. My judgment is saying, well, that person doesn't think like me, and I just know that they're bad. And so I'm making up all kinds of assumptions without having a clue where other people, what they're really thinking and where they're coming from. And I know there's that still small voice in me that's saying, Charlotte, that's not unifying. That's an assumption, and you have no clue about what anyone else is thinking except yourself. So mind your own P's and Q's, in other words. It's really none of my business what other people think. Another part of the agreements, right? So what other people think of you is none of your business. If you were really comfortable in your own skin, it wouldn't matter what anyone else was doing. And you would be just blasting out light and love all the time. That's what I want to, that's what I aspire to. So when our mind is full of assumptions, conclusions, and beliefs, it has no penetration. It just repeats past impressions. So we just keep repeating the patterns and assumptions of the past. We don't question anything. And I would have to say that is the status quo of much of the population. Good, bad, it just is. But once we know better, we do better, right? So we know now that, okay, I'm willing to not just make an assumption or an immediate reaction to this person or this situation. I'm just wanting to send love. What am I wanting to see as the divine, the perfect outcome here? My thinking mind, okay, I'm sort of on both sides here. My thinking mind, or my programming, is just going by the past and my assumptions, and I'm clinging to that. But if I can do some constructive thinking and understanding as a means of understanding, then I think I can come from a higher perspective and make better decisions. And then I'm sort of diffusing that vibe of anger and judgment and irritation, and I'm actually just sending out a vibe of peace and transformation and love. And then we can just see mountains move like we've never seen before. So it's time that we open up our minds to be more, open-minded thinkers. So A.A. Milne, he says, the third-rate mind only is happy when it's thinking with the majority. A second-rate mind is only happy when it's thinking with the minority. A first-rate mind is only happy when it's thinking. So, Diane, I'm glad you found me here. So yes, it is, so what do we want to be? A third-rate mind that's thinking with the majority, a second-rate mind that thinks with the minority, or a first-rate mind that's doing our own thinking. And where's that great thought, that great mind, the mind of God? Einstein, he said, I want to know God's thoughts. Nothing else really matters. And if we can come from that, then we can make radical change for good and awakening and ascension. And I don't think, we have to let go of our need to be right and come together and try to understand where people are coming from more than we are pointing our fingers and judging. So responsibility to ourselves means refusing to let others do our thinking for us. We have to begin to think for ourselves. How often do we allow the media, our programs, to determine how we think? Another thing I do, I cruise I cruise all the news stations. Okay. So I can understand if somebody is tuned into one network, I'll just say it, Fox versus MSNBC, CNN. If you just turn that on and that's all you listen to, you're being programmed, no matter what it is. And it's not good, bad, or ugly. It just is what it is. So try flipping the channel, spend a little time on the other side, hearing what they have to say. And maybe it's not what you've been programmed to think it is, other people's opinions. Make your own mind up. That's where our power is. Einstein says the important thing is don't stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. And as I said earlier, I've always been curious. That's why I've been do the work I do. And that's why I'm so excited to be starting up interviews with people, conscious conversations. I'm very curious. And I invite you all to participate. If you want to be interviewed, I'm happy. I've got a list a mile long. Most everyone I know is on the list, because I was thinking every person I know is awesome, really. And I want to share their awesomeness with you. You already know the awesomeness of a lot of people, right? Because they're on media all day long, all these great spiritual teachers. You can flip through YouTube and find 500 interviews with lots of these great people, and they are awesome. There's a lot more awesome people out there as well. So how about religion? When we blindly adopt a religion, a political system, okay, or literary dogma, we become automations and we cease to grow. So I tread this, I honor and respect all spiritual paths and religions. And I think that we all, I'm so grateful that we have free will in this country to follow our beliefs, to be able to be critical thinkers and free thinkers. But I find that there's so much dogma and doctrine in a lot of religions, and there's a lot of fear in those teachings, okay, dogmas, doctrines that say, don't even question this. That's the devil. I'm not here to tell you, go into your heart and ask. I'll share an example with you. When I started my path of alternative or expanded thinking, and this has been 40 years ago, I grew up Christian, Methodist church. It was all good, all positive, all love. I even thought about being a Methodist minister. So I had no baggage, really, but there was a little voice in me that said, you know what, there's more. There's a lot more out there. And my curious mind started seeking, and all of a sudden, a whole Pandora's box of awesomeness revealed itself to me. So I then, as I always do, realized 40 years ago, I was very curious. I'm watching these CBN Christian Network, and I'm watching these reading these books, and everything that I was pursuing, okay, was like, don't do that. That's the devil. And my heart was saying, you know what? I don't feel that. And so my prayer at that time was, instead of just shutting it down, okay, I said, okay, Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, everyone I prayed to as a child, if this is a path that is not positive, that is not one you want me to go down, I will shut it down, and I will totally embrace everything that I grew up with, all of those beliefs and programs, and I'll let go. And so, and I had a sincerity of heart, and I would have done that in a minute. I didn't have an agenda, and I wasn't being stubborn. I wasn't angry at my religion. It was just more of a curiosity. And as a result, the message I got was, no, go for it. And actually, I had more roads and paths open to me. And then I began to see that there is a common thread of truth that flows through all religions and science and spiritual traditions and everything that was so much fun for me to explore and to discover. So it was a very positive thing. And anytime I would hear, so at first I'd be like, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then now I can see people strong, and they believe from their heart, and they believe they're doing the right thing. So this is not intended by any means to be a judgment, but there are people who feel like that they have to save people. And first of all, the only person we can save is ourselves. And the only thing we can do for others is just to see their light and love and to bless them on their journey. And if that is a path that brings them peace, then right on. I'm not here to judge another, fix another, change another. I'm here to just be the light, and so are you. So education isn't how much we've committed to memory or even how much we know. It's about being able to differentiate between what we know and what we don't. So it's, we don't, as long as we're here in this body, be open to learn. Don't be just like shut down, say, okay, I did my education and now that's what's true. Because as we're seeing now, even with the educational system, they're revamping, reorganizing, they're wanting to introduce and take away certain educational means, not saying that exactly right. Again, I'm not here to judge those decisions, but I'm here to say that we have to encourage our children to be free thinkers and critical thinkers, because even in society, and this is not about making assumptions, okay, maybe these people making certain decisions one way or another do it out of the goodness, what they feel is right. But sometimes that's not the greatest degree of love and healing. And just be open to that and bless those who don't think like us. They aren't bad. They're not wrong. The more comfortable we get within our own belief system and ourselves, we don't need to point that finger and make anyone wrong, is what I've come to experience in myself. Just like interesting. Okay, so it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. So back to that arc, because that's got my attention, my thinking mind. Boy, there was some interesting theories, and I am going to explore those. First of all, that the earth is only 6,000 years old, that prehistoric animals were on the ark, that there's science to prove creationism versus evolution. Cool. I'm like, wow, really? And I'd always heard that, but I mean, this was a strong statement that was made. So I'm open. And you know what, if that's meant to be my path or not, it doesn't matter. But it's like, well, that is so cool that these people believe this. And what is it? They're intelligent people. That's sort of what got me realizing that many intelligent people they're on both sides of every coin. There's many strong arguments made on both sides of evolution versus creation. There's strong sides on strong, smart people, kind, compassionate people who believe strongly about vaccines, non-vaccine, the COVID, the whole thing that has been really a mission to divide us, in my mind, if I put my stake in and have to make another wrong. And then politics. Well, we see that every day. Let's see how we can divide people. Everyone says unify, but when it comes down to it, that has not been the case. And I question this because I see people I care for, people I respect, people that have great hearts, great intelligence, and they think differently than I do. So that to me is like, well, am I just going to cut them out because they don't think like me? No, that's not what it's about at all. I think that, embrace the differences and allow people to be on their own journey. I mean, that's what we're here to do. So critical thinking requires us to use our imagination, seeing things from perspectives rather than our own, and envisioning the likely consequences of our position. So it's embrace everybody. And I do envision the likely consequences of my own. What would that look like? So I don't know what your mind is, but my mind is always like very curious. And the opinions that are held with passion are always those for which no good ground exists. Indeed, the passion is the measure of the holder's lack of rational conviction. So I think I take that statement two ways. I think that passion is great, but passion coming from love and ascension and healing and unifying is that's my passion. If it's passion that I'm right and you're wrong, I don't see that's going to get us very far. We're just going to repeat the patterns of division. And if any thought is keeping me separate from my creator or a brother or sister, then it's not one of ascension. And of course, we're all on this journey of life together. Okay, so we are in a huge sense our brother's keeper. So critical thinking is not something we do once with an issue and then drop it. It requires we update our knowledge every day. So this is a process. It's just being willing, being curious, being open to that which is holy, which is divine, which is peace and unifying. Because ultimately, when we do this with an open heart and purity of mind and heart, then we'll be led to that which heals the fear and the division and the separation. And Duke Ellington, this is a quote from Duke Ellington, okay? And this reminds me of the last agreement, always do your best in the 4 agreements. And he says, a problem is a chance for you to do your best. So there's never a problem, it's only opportunities. The 4th agreement, always do your best. You know, if we just put it out there, I'm going to do my best, then we will eventually find that which we're seeking. We'll find, we set that intention and the universe will respond, but we have to let go of our old beliefs and thought systems and patterns of behavior and so on and so forth to find our way. And so I think that the point I'm choosing to make, I'm using this as a platform to engage with people and encourage each and every one of you to think for yourselves, be free thinkers, be critical thinkers, question your values, question your beliefs. Instead of judging and shutting down another who doesn't think like you, it doesn't mean that you have to accept it. It just means it's none of your business, and maybe try to understand why people think like they do. So I invite you guys to continue this journey of progressive thought, evolution of consciousness, ascension, of peace with me. And thanks for tuning in. And please share this if you feel inspired to do so. I do have a YouTube channel now. Well, I've always had one, but now it's activated again. And it is youtube.com/inspire YOUTV. You can go there, you can subscribe and be a part of these conversations. And by next week, you can probably watch this live on my website, on Facebook or YouTube. And thanks for tuning in. It's been a great day. Much love and namaste.